The next day was destined to be one of the most extraordinary in the annals of Maison Vauquer. Hitherto the most startling occurrence in its tranquil existence had been the portentous meteor-like apparition of the sham Comtesse d'Ambousmel. But the catastrophes of this great day were to cast all previous events into the shade, and supply an inexhaustible topic of conversation for Mme. Vauquer and her boarders so long as she lived. In the first place, Goriot and Eugene de Rastignac both slept till close upon 11 o'clock. Mme. Vauquer, who had come home about midnight from the Gate, lay abed till 10:30. Christophe, after a prolonged slumber (he had finished Vautrin's first bottle of wine), was behindhand with his work; but Poiret and Mlle. Michonneau uttered no complaint, though breakfast was delayed. As for Victorine and Mme. Couture, they also lay late. Vautrin went out before 8 o'clock, and only came back just as breakfast was ready. Nobody protested, therefore, when Sylvie and Christophe went up at 11:15, knocked at all the doors, and announced that breakfast was waiting. While Sylvie and the man were upstairs, Mlle. Michonneau, who came down first, poured the contents of the phial into the silver cup belonging to Vautrin. It was standing with the others in the bain Marie that kept the cream hot for the morning coffee. The spinster had reckoned on this custom of the house to do her stroke of business. The 7 lodgers were at last collected together, not without some difficulty. Just as Eugene came downstairs, stretching himself and yawning, a commissionaire handed him a letter from Mme. de Nucingen. It ran thus: "I feel neither false vanity nor anger where you are concerned, my friend. Till 2 o'clock this morning I waited for you. Oh, that waiting for one whom you love! No one that had passed through that torture could inflict it on another. I know now that you have never loved before. What can have happened? Anxiety has taken hold of me. I would have come myself to find out what had happened, if I had not feared to betray the secrets of my heart. How can I walk out or drive out at this time of day? Would it not be ruin? I have felt to the full how wretched it is to be a woman. Send a word to reassure me, and explain how it is that you have not come after what my father told you. I shall be angry, but I will forgive you. One word, for pity's sake. You will come to me soon, will you not? If you are busy, a line will be enough. Say, I will hasten to you, or else I am ill. But if you were ill, my father would have come to tell me so. What can have happened?" "Yes, indeed, what has happened?" exclaimed Eugene, and hurrying down to the dining room, he crumpled up the letter without reading any more. "What time is it?" "11:30," said Vautrin, dropping a lump of sugar into his coffee. The escaped convict cast a glance at Eugene, a cold and fascinating glance. Men gifted with this magnetic power can quell furious lunatics in a madhouse by such a glance, it is said. Eugene shook in every limb. There was the sound of wheels in the street, and in another moment a man with a scarred face rushed into the room. It was one of M. Taillefer's servants. Mme. Couture recognized the livery at once. "Mademoiselle," he cried, "your father is asking for you. Something terrible has happened. Monsieur Frederic has had a sword thrust into the forehead in a duel, and the doctors have given him up. You will scarcely be in time to say good bye to him. He is unconscious." "Poor young fellow!" exclaimed Vautrin. "How can people brawl when they have a certain income of 30,000 livres? Young people have bad manners, and that is a fact." "Sir!" cried Eugene. "Well, what then, you big baby?" said Vautrin, swallowing down his coffee imperturbably, an operation which Mlle. Michonneau watched with such close attention that she had no emotion to spare for the amazing news that had struck the others dumb with amazement. "Are there not duels every morning in Paris?" added Vautrin. "I will go with you, Victorine," said Mme. Couture, and the two women hurried away at once without either hats or shawls. But before she went, Victorine, with her eyes full of tears, gave Eugene a glance that said, "How little I thought that our happiness should cost me tears." "Dear me, you are a prophet, Monsieur Vautrin," said Mme. Vauquer. "I am all sorts of things," said Vautrin. "Queer, isn't it?" said Mme. Vauquer, stringing together a succession of commonplaces suited to the occasion. "Death takes us off without asking us about it. The young often go before the old. It is a lucky thing for us women that we are not liable to fight duels, but we have other complaints that men don't suffer from. We bear children, and it takes a long time to get over it. What a windfall for Victorine! Her father will have to acknowledge her now." "There," said Vautrin, looking at Eugene. "Yesterday she had not a penny; this morning she has several millions to her fortune." "I say, Monsieur Eugene," cried Mme. Vauquer, "you have landed on your feet." At this exclamation, Father Goriot looked at the student, and saw the crumpled letter still in his hand. "You have not read it through. What does this mean? Are you going to be like the rest of them?" he asked. "Madame, I shall never marry Mademoiselle Victorine," said Eugene, turning to Mme. Vauquer with an expression of terror and loathing that surprised the onlookers at the scene. Father Goriot caught the student's hand and grasped it warmly. He could have kissed it. "Oh, ho!" said Vautrin, "the Italians have a good proverb, col tempo." "Is there any answer?" said Mme. de Nucingen's messenger, addressing Eugene. "Say that I will come directly." The man went. Eugene was in a state of such violent excitement that he could not be prudent. "What is to be done?" he exclaimed aloud. "There are no proofs." Vautrin began to smile. Though the drug he had taken was doing its work, the convict was so vigorous that he rose to his feet, gave Rastignac a look, and said in hollow tones, "Luck comes to us while we sleep, young man," and fell stiff and stark as if he were struck dead. "So there is a divine justice," said Eugene. "Well, if ever! What has come to that poor dear Monsieur Vautrin?" "A stroke!" cried Mlle. Michonneau. "Here, Sylvie, girl, run for the doctor," called the widow. "Oh, Monsieur Rastignac, just go for Monsieur Bianchon, and be as quick as you can. Sylvie might not be in time to catch our doctor, Monsieur Grimprel." Rastignac was glad of an excuse to leave that den of horrors. His hurry for the doctor was nothing but a flight. "Here, Christophe, go round to the chemist's and ask for something that's good for apoplexy." Christophe likewise went. "Father Goriot, just help us get him upstairs." Vautrin was taken up among them, carried carefully up the narrow staircase, and laid upon his bed. "I can do no more here, so I shall go to see my daughter," said M. Goriot. "Selfish old thing!" cried Mme. Vauquer. "Yes, go, I wish you may die like a dog." "Just go and see if you can find some ether," said Mlle. Michonneau to Mme. Vauquer. The former, with some help from Poiret, had unfastened the sick man's clothes. Mme. Vauquer went down to her room and left Mlle. Michonneau mistress of the situation. "Now, just pull down his shirt and turn him over, quick. You might be of some use in sparing my modesty," she said to Poiret, "instead of standing there like a stock." Vautrin was turned over. Mlle. Michonneau gave his shoulder a sharp slap, and the two portentous letters appeared, white against the red. "There, you have earned your 3,000 francs very easily," exclaimed Poiret, supporting Vautrin, while Mlle. Michonneau slipped on the shirt again. "Ooh, how heavy he is!" he added, as he laid the convict down. "Hush! Suppose there is a strong box here," said the old maid briskly. Her glances seemed to pierce the walls; she scrutinized every article of the furniture with greedy eyes. "Could we find some excuse for opening that desk?" "It mightn't be quite right," responded Poiret to this. "Where is the harm? It is money stolen from all sorts of people, so it doesn't belong to any one now. But we haven't time. There is the bouquet." "Here is the ether," said the lady. "I must say that this is an eventful day. Lord, that man can't have had a stroke. He is as white as curds." "White as curds?" echoed Poiret. "And his pulse is steady," said the widow, laying her hand on his breast. "Steady?" said the astonished Poiret. "He is all right." "Do you think so?" asked Poiret. "Lord, yes, he looks as if he was sleeping. Sylvie has gone for a doctor. I say, Mademoiselle Michonneau, he is sniffing the ether. Pooh! It is only a spasm. His pulse is good. He is as strong as a Turk. Just look, mademoiselle, what a fur tippet he has on his chest. That is the sort of man to live till he is 100. His wig holds on tightly, however. Dear me, it is glued on, and his own hair is red. That is why he wears a wig. They say that red-haired people are either the worst or the best. Is he one of the good ones, I wonder?" "Good to hang?" said Poiret. "Round a pretty woman's neck, you mean," said Mademoiselle Michonneau hastily. "Just go away, Monsieur Poiret. It is a woman's duty to nurse you men when you are ill. Besides, for all the good you are doing, you may as well take yourself off," she added. "Madame Vauquer and I will take great care of dear Monsieur Vautrin." Poiret went out on tiptoe without a murmur, like a dog kicked out of the room by his master. Rastignac had gone out for the sake of physical exertion. He wanted to breathe the air, he felt stifled. Yesterday evening he had meant to prevent the murder arranged for 8:30 this morning. What had happened? What ought he to do now? He trembled to think that he himself might be implicated. Vautrin's coolness still further dismayed him. Yet how if Vautrin should die without saying a word? Rastignac asked himself. He hurried along the alleys of the Luxembourg Gardens as if the hounds of justice were after him, and he already heard the baying of the pack. "Well," shouted Bianchon, "you have seen the Pilote?" The Pilote was a Radical sheet edited by M. Tissot. It came out several hours later than the morning papers, and was meant for the benefit of country subscribers, for it brought the morning news into provincial districts 24 hours sooner than the ordinary local journals. "There is a wonderful history in it," said the house student of the Hospital Cochin. Young Taillefer called out Count Franceschini of the Old Guard, and the Count put a couple of inches of steel into his forehead. And here is little Victorine, one of the richest heiresses in Paris. If we had known that, eh? What a game of chance death is! They say Victorine was sweet on you. Was there any truth in it?" "Shut up, Bianchon. I shall never marry her. I am in love with a charming woman, and she is in love with me. So..." "You said that as if you were screwing yourself up to be faithful to her. I should like to see the woman worth the sacrifice of Master Taillefer's money." "Are all the devils of hell at my heels?" cried Rastignac. "What is the matter with you? Are you mad? Give us your hand," said Bianchon, "and let me feel your pulse. You are feverish." "Just go to Mother Vauquer's," said Rastignac. "That scoundrel Vautrin has dropped down like one dead." "Aha!" said Bianchon, leaving Rastignac to his reflections. "You confirm my suspicions, and now I mean to make sure for myself." Section 8